The first mobile version of my app, I had built it as a web app, with various developers and people who had helped me along the way once I had figured out how I wanted to kind of hack it together. The first mobile version, iOS version of my app was because of somebody reached out and said, yo, I want to build an app for you. And I said, okay, well, what kind of app? He said, well, it's going to stream your songs. And I said, I don't really need that, but, how, do you know the Twilio API? He said, well, I can learn it, And we did a software sprint, and so it's about real relationships, man. People have to have 10 impressions for them to understand, to even remember you and to understand what you offer into the world. So that's, I think for me, building a brand is, are you authentic and can you be consistent? I know a lot of artists or even companies, they try to get ahead of themselves. Yo, I'm this is, I'm aspirational, but they don't have the means, they don't have the funding, so they can't keep it up. So immediately it looks like the brand is not consistent, So, when I first started on YouTube, I carried the camera myself. I would film everything I was doing all day, then I would set it up at the end of the day. I'd do a testimonial, and then, I would chop it up, and there was a consistency there, and people saw me eventually getting to the money. People saw me eventually getting the placements. People saw me eventually at this photo shoot or this award show or whatever. But that was that consistency, and I think eventually, the messaging maybe started going beyond, what people could relate to or beyond. But that I had to stay consistent. I have to stay consistent. That's my real life. You use a layer of technology to be able to scale the thank yous. So when you get my record, when you get my experience, like I said, the technology is about scalable communication, personal communication. There's no platform currently that does that, that's smart enough to do it. Like, you might be able to get a bot that responds to people on Twitter. You might be able to get a bot that responds to people, maybe when someone, I don't even know if that exists. Hey, someone follows you on Instagram, yo, here's my album. There's not a layer on Twitter that you could differentiate between people who follow you, who bought your album, and people who follow you who don't. The superphone knows, you know what I mean? So that's really what it's about. It's about smart, scalable, personal communication. And then, based on different qualifiers, maybe it's about how much time a fan has spent, volunteering. Maybe it's about how much someone has spent. Maybe it's about how much someone has been an evangelist online, how many retweets, likes, shares, etc. That starts to qualify how much acknowledgement, appreciation, and rapport I'm supposed to have with someone. I left the major label system, but I'm completely and 100% and unequivocally dependent on my supporters, And so, yeah, I think that's the true measure of independence is, do you have the, are you brave enough to take that leap of faith and say, look, I'm gonna change genres. Yeah, I'm gonna do a country album, I'm gonna do a folk album, I'm gonna just do a whole acoustic album. I'm gonna make a 12-minute song. That's the real, for me, is be able to have freedom of creative expression and the bravery to know that if it's really that good, you could go find another audience, So right now, like my last record, I got no qualms or shame to talk about it. My last record sold, just under 15,000 copies. The beauty of that to me is if I decide to make a country album, I'm up 2 million on that album cycle. If I decide to make a country album and I can go find 15,000 people, you know what a tiny fraction of the human population, you know what a tiny fraction of the population of New York that is? You know what I'm saying? Right. If I'm a hustler, I can go find those people, I can have another $2 million album cycle. You know what I'm saying? No label, no manager, on this last project, no music videos, no PR, straight off the iPhone, you know. That's the future to me. Build that level of engagement so that even if it's, you know, $100 times 10 to get to that 1,000, you know, I just understand it's a new math. You know what I'm saying? Not, nowadays, you know, if you look at streaming on YouTube, you get $1 for every 1,000 streams, you know? And so right now I got, you know, I'm using a platform that my homie Jack Conti started called Patreon. I got 84 people. I'm making $3,000 every time I drop a video, right? And I haven't even promoted it. That's what I'm getting, right? So that's the equivalent of 3 million views, you know? And my last studio video is at 50,000 views. And I'm already at $3,000 for it, you know. So I just know how to get to the money. I know where it's at, and I'm gonna be frank with you. You know, the people say, "Oh, you know, streaming is the way of the future." At a half a penny a stream, you got to get millions of streams. If you can't get to millions of streams, you need to be able to get to the people that will stream and be able to give them access and acknowledgement and appreciation. AAA, you know. Access, acknowledgement, appreciation, you know, say thank you, give them access, give them, you know, insight, give them a window to your creative process, let them know, like, look, you know, I care about my craft and I appreciate you for allowing me to care about my craft, you know, access, appreciation, acknowledgement, you know. Look at my major label release, 180,000 copies album 1 and 60,000 copies album 2. How does that make sense? You know, when the second album was Grammy nominated. The real disconnect is, why wasn't the marketing plan to personally reach out to the 180,000 people that got my first record? Well, that can't be the marketing plan because we don't know those people. All right, well, if you want to continue chasing that dream with those people that don't know those people, then be my guest. For everybody else, man, I'll lead you to the promised land. Take my hand. Record companies work like banks, so, you know, if somebody's giving you a good, you know, if you're getting a big advance, then you could be happy. The issue for me is always about restrictions on creativity. I have a massive problem with that. I made a record and I said, yo, I want to go shoot this video in Paris, and they said, yo, your record sales don't justify us making that investment. And I said, well, that's my artistic license. That's what I want to do. And the first thing I did when I went independent is I went and made all the videos I wanted to make on my own dime in every country, with every jet, with every, you know, everything I wanted, straight up, just to be like, oh, okay, I know they said no and they said it wasn't worth it, but man, this is the most worth, even if I don't sell any records, this is the most value I've ever gotten in my life. I'm just going for the gusto. When you give people the empowerment to be able to stop thinking in boxes and saying like, look, we ain't got budgets to do this, we ain't got budgets to do that. You know, if you came to my presentation tonight, you see I made a $75,000 video for $2,500. It don't look like $2,500 because I know what the blueprint is. I know how to get people there. So that's really my approach to making music. Let me take somebody that doesn't have a passport, I'll take them in one day, get their passport, and, you know, spend 8 months with me. Your passport is stamped out. That's what I want. Let's go put you somewhere you've never been. Let's take Cardiac from Jersey, get him his first passport, put him in a studio in Vienna, Austria, with a string quartet for the first time. He's been sampling strings, and now he can actually hear what it sounds to put the bow to the actual instrument. And now he's working with Dr. Dre. That's what I'm about. I'm about actually taking my access, taking my acumen, taking my blueprint, giving people the blueprint, saying, look, the hustle is yours now. The technology is available now. The platform is there now. The blueprint is there now. The access is there now because you with me. Go do 10 times what I did.